This is Local Edition. My name is Brad Pomerance in the San Gabriel Valley. Today, joined by Bob Bruesch. He is the vice president of the Garvey School District, which is in this region, focused essentially in Rosemead. He has been on the school board for 14 years, taught for 37 years at the junior high school level, and now has written this book, still in a kind of tally form. It's called I Teach, a Memoir. And there is no doubt, sir, that you have taught for 37 years. What is the inspiration? What made you decide to put your experiences to pen to paper?
Read the subtitle.
The subtitle, I will put my glasses on, A Teacher's Handbook, I love this, for making teaching a profession again.
Because it is not a profession.
Explain.
A profession is where a person can create new things and collaborate to invent new ways of coming to fruition on a problem. A job, you're told what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, and you have a product that can be seen and felt.
Teaching's a job?
Teaching is a job nowadays.
Well, that brings up a lot of points. My mind is kind of spinning around. I would argue, though, if I were to take the opposite position, that at least local school districts have a little more latitude now with the local control funding formula in California. More discretion, not as many strings from Sacramento. On the flip side of that, there's Common Core, which it's not a federal mandate, obviously, but it sets certain federal standards. And I don't know if that limits what teachers can do in terms of innovation. It seems almost like a push-pull.
Common Core is not new.
Right.
It was begun talking about it back in the 80s, 1980s. And it is really a push for it's not what teachers are teaching, not the things, it's how they're teaching. They're not teaching kids to learn information. They're teaching kids how to think.
And that's what Common Core's goal is.
Yes.
And I know and I believe that you are an advocate of that type of teaching, that type of education.
I did it for
right.
30 years.
Because as I understand it, we've discussed this before, in the past we would give students a lot of information, throw it at them. Now we're giving them less information, but we're going a bit deeper. Instead of going wider, we're going deeper.
It used to be teach, test, reteach, retest.
Right.
Now it's giving information and having the students get together in groups or with their computers and digest that information and come up with a solution to a problem.
So do you feel as if Common Core gets us closer away from job towards profession?
I do, and it also prepares kids, students, I hate to say kids because people but students for a life where they are going to face a change in not just their profession, but their whole job outlook, not once, not twice, but probably 3 times.
At the same time, when you think about teachers, there's a more push-pull going on because California is on the verge of a teacher shortage, which is very problematic. But at the same time, we're talking about making it harder to gain tenure to become a permanent teacher. I don't know if those are at cross purposes.
You've hit on the very, very crux of the matter. Think, and I've done this, I've interviewed young people, high school seniors, freshmen in college, and I ask them, what is your professional goals? None of them ever say teaching. And I say, well, why? And they don't say because of the pay. They say, well, you know, you got too many rules. We can't be creative.
Right.
It's not a job that will allow me to expand my personal possibilities. In other words, they look at teaching as a pedantic job. nothing more. And that's why we have that lack of interest in becoming teachers.
But I wonder, though, if it's in addition to that, that teachers are easily beat up upon in the media. We love our personal teacher, but we don't love teachers. It's like we love our congressman, but we don't love the Congress. And so you have that tension. And then again, this question of tenure.
Yes.
You know, there aren't many professions where you get tenure after 18 months to 2 years. I know it's more complicated than that.
Well, let me explain what the very beginning of tenure was for. It was because small districts could not outshine and outpay larger districts, and they were getting the dregs of. And as soon as teachers got a little bit of skill, they went elsewhere for higher pay.
I understand.
And that's why tenure was devised 40, 50 years ago. And now it's been hacked apart by the newspapers. You know, our education system is run by the 4 Ps.
Which are?
The pundits, the politicians, the press, and the
president?
The president, no, the publishers.
Right. Oh, right.
The pundits come up with all these scary stories about what's happening. The press builds up stories about, the destruction of our education. The politicians go around with their heads cut off trying to provide legislation that will get done. And finally, the publishers come in and say, we can make some money off of this.
Interesting.
And, you know, so, we're at the mercy. We're at the mercy of forces outside education.
I mean, I mentioned the president, but we do have a new executive who's looking at changing the face of public school education. His Secretary of Education, Betsy DeVos, has been a very significant advocate of school choice. That term means a lot of different things to different people, but you know, there's been, I mean, a lot of folks that are supporters of the current administration have, you know, focused on privatization of education.
Let me read a section of my book. Be aware that vouchers don't mean verifying teacher quality or putting the virtue back in education. The word is simply a thinly veiled attempt to perform vivisection on our hallowed public education system to extract its democratic soul that demands equality for all.
I guess you're not a fan of vouchers.
I am not.
Right, and we know that vouchers are becoming more popular. Nevada recently adopted a voucher scheme, or a voucher plan, I should say. We don't know if Betsy DeVos will be able to take this national. It does seem at a certain level it's more of a local question.
Look at the press stories about the private academies and like that are closing down because of misuse of funds.
Well, charter schools, at least some, have faced challenges as well. That's still public, but I think it's relevant to this conversation.
It really is, because do we have as much watchdog ability on these private schools as we do on public schools?
No, we don't. I mean, by definition, no.
Okay,
by definition.
You know, the public thinks this is a safe haven, but really, is it a safe haven?
It's a complicated issue. It's hard to deny that parents are in a panic and they want the best for their children and they don't know what the best is. But what I do know is this book is coming out soon. It's called I Teach, a memoir. It is by Bob Bruesch. He is the vice president of the Garvey School District in the San Gabriel Valley, where we are today. I'm Brad Pomerance. It's Local Edition.